A fire at a sitting High Court judge led to trouble against him. Here's what happened. So there was a blaze at the residence of Delhi High Court Judge Justice Yashwant Verma, but it led to the recovery of a massive pile of cash and has triggered shockwaves within judicial circles, according to a report. The incident even prompted the Supreme Court Collegium, led by Chief Justice of India Sanjeev Khanna, to order an immediate transfer to the Allahabad High Court. The Collegium unanimously transferring the Justice, the Judge Yashwant Sharma, to Allahabad High Court. But some members say a mere transfer is insufficient, and this is a question mark on judicial credibility. Now, we do not have the clarity about how much was the pile of cash, but clearly enough pile of cash that has led to an inquiry, that has led to his transfer. Remember, what would prompt the Supreme Court Collegium as well to take it up so strongly? That pile, or must I add clearly, must have been piles of cash. Was it undocumented? Is there no reason for a judge, even of that stature, to have that much cash in his house? And has he not been able to really give his defense to the Collegium or where this money was from? So it appears that possibly, remember, emergency services authorities must have come to his house with regard to the fire and the blaze. And that led to the recovery of a massive pile of cash and triggered shockwaves within judicial circles. Basically, this is raising a question mark. If there is a certain judicial credibility that is in question here, we'll try and get clarity if the judge has been able to give a defense with this regard to the Supreme Court Collegium. But for now, an immediate transfer to the Allahabad High Court. So you can only imagine if this has led to a transfer, has the pile of cash been humongous in nature? Let's try and put it in perspective. Retired High Court Judge R.S. Sodhi is joining me on the phone line right now. Sir, help me understand this, because a pile of cash clearly that big that has led to a transfer of a sitting justice. What do you make of it? Do you believe that the transfer at least is the bare minimum that should have been done?
No, the transfer is merely the start of it. This is not a bare minimum or whatever you refer to. This is an initiation of proceedings that will take place because of such a recovery from a sitting judge's house. It is indeed shocking and most appalling that the judge should be compromised to such an extent. So now we don't know how many judgments of his are compromised. We do not know what he has been up to. So all this is merely an initiation of further proceedings.
Why, if you can tell me about what possibly is the kind of shockwaves or discussion or sentiment among judicial circles. You've also been a justice, and there are, of course, a lot of scrutiny and a responsibility on the shoulders of a judge. We expect them to be completely independent. What do you think then possibly, because the recovery of the cash has led to a certain discussion in the judicial circles?
Prima facie, it makes out that this is certainly a disproportionate amount which the judge is holding. It is nothing normal about it. So it's an extraordinary thing. It's not something that one enjoys discussing even, because it is unbecoming. These things don't happen, and in any case, are not supposed to happen. You know, the judges are supposed to be like Caesar's wife. You can't be compromised on that at all. And if such a thing has happened, obviously it disturbs the entire judicial system. It disturbs not only the sitting ones, but it has disturbed me. For example, I retired 15 years ago. Even today, I feel very strongly on this. So this is what can one say beyond this?
Important, sir. It's important that your perspective has come in. Also tell me this, sir. What do you think should be a protocol of investigation on this? Has there been ever a precedent like this? Have you ever heard of an incident like this in your career? Because this time, remember, we're talking about someone, and we'll be looking at his judgments too. But for now, as the investigation proceeds, how do you think this must go ahead? Do you think there needs to be a benchmark set for one and all going here forth?
If prima facie, if it is already made out that there's an aberration. Now, this aberration, it must immediately result in something or the other. Either he'll be asked to resign, which is the bare minimum, and then face consequences. All consequences have to be faced. See, the same thing, if you remember, happened in Nirmal Yadav's case. Justice Nirmal Yadav in Punjab and Haryana. Some money was to be delivered to Nirmal Yadav, but was delivered to Nirmal Kaur, and the consequences were there. She had to resign and face prosecution. Similarly, this has to be. This will lead to this logical conclusion.
I appreciate you joining us, sir, speaking to India Today with your perspective, because remember, this has been concerning. When I say pile of cash, how much was that pile or piles of cash that has caught the attention of authorities, and even the Collegium has said this is not acceptable. He's been immediately transferred. Many, in fact, have said that's not enough, but it's a matter of probe right now and what he has to say about in his defense. Our legal correspondent Srishti Ojha is also joining me on the phone line. Srishti, I can only imagine that the pile must have been so huge that it's led not just to a recovery but to question mark and an immediate transfer. What are you picking up about the shockwaves about it in the judicial circles?
Well, Pooja, it's definitely a shocking news because we've not heard of any of such an incident very recently, in a very near past. And of course, even lawyers that we've spoken to off the record have told us about how absolutely shocking these allegations are, and the concern that they've expressed that the kind of effect that these allegations and such cases can have on what people think about the judiciary and how people perceive. Because if you talk about laymen, the citizens of the country are relying on Indian judiciary to be independent to decide their cases. So when instances like these come up, and even even when you are at a stage of an allegation that such allegations have been made against the judge, it can really affect how people see the judiciary. Now, in this particular case, what we've learned from our sources is that after these some adverse reports had come in and reached the top court judges, the Supreme Court Collegium and the CJI, they decided to hold an urgent meeting last evening to discuss this issue, and after that they did unanimously decide to recommend his transfer. So they have recommended transfer of Justice Verma back.
Tell me quickly also about, I'm curious what happened, because this was a troublesome time. It was a fire at his house and that led to another trouble for him.
Well, yes, definitely, and we'll be getting more details as to what specifically transpired as far as that particular incident at his house is concerned. But when these adverse reports we know reached the Collegium, they definitely have taken a very serious. They've taken it very seriously, and they have decided to transfer. Now, this transfer is also subject to approval that has to come in from the central government. We've also learned that an in-house inquiry is being contemplated. It hasn't been decided, but it is something that the CJI can consider and direct. As for now, only a transfer has been recommended. Eventually, what happens is, will the Supreme Court Collegium decide to take a stricter view and also ask him to resign or start an in-house inquiry? In this case, is something that we'll have to see, because the allegations are definitely very serious.
Tracking all the latest on that. There was a fire, a blaze at his house. Likely emergency services, police came in only to find a bigger fire or a bigger smoke, so to say, when it came to piles of cash from his residence, leading to his immediate transfer by the Collegium.